According to statisticbrain.com, 74% of people suffer from speaking anxiety. And I do not blame anybody from suffering from speaking anxiety because I personally suffered from it at the beginning of the semester and I was terrified to speak in front of other people. But from this fear, I came up with the main goal of becoming a better individual one on one speaker, a better small group speaker, and a better large group speaker as well. And from this goal, I came up with a couple of issues that I knew of coming into this course that I had that I wanted to put extra emphasis on, which were stuttering often, poorly enunciating words, and using too many filler words as well. So I have six main ideas here that I want to talk about in this speech that will help me emphasize my overall public speaking experience this semester. So my first one is speaking skills. Prior to this course, I had a very minimal public speaking experience. I basically just gave class presentations in high school, and I had one instance where I spoke in front of a group of people, a fairly large group of people, at an induction ceremony for middle school students into the National Junior Honor Society. But other than that, that was the only public speaking experience that I had, and ultimately it did not add any extra pressure or anxiety to me as than I already had coming into this semester. And as for improvement on the three weaknesses I previously mentioned, Melissa's instructor critique on my informative speech on how to shoot a basketball, she cited that my voice was clearly and properly paced throughout my entire speech. And she also noted that I didn't use any filler words. So I was extremely pleased with the progress that I already made because this is only the second speech of the semester. And I was really pleased with the progress that I already made. And it ultimately set me up for success on my speeches to come that semester or over this semester. And I feel like at the end of the semester, my most competent speaking skills are eye contact, speaking volume, preparation, and organization. Especially speaking volume because I've always been regarded as the quiet kid, and I just wanted to make sure that I really projected my voice and was loud during my speeches so I wasn't quiet. And ultimately, this will help me become a more reliable and credible doctor in the future because when I'm talking with my patients, they will trust me more if I make more eye contact with them, if I speak clearly and loudly to them, I prepare myself to speak to them, and I organize our appointments effectively. And that leads me to my point about visual presentation aids. I feel like ineffective uses of presentation aids include using too many words on slides and having transitions on slides that take too long to click through. Also, on the other hand, I believe that effective uses of presentation aids include a well-organized list of main ideas or bullet points with minimal text on each slide, also including clear pictures and videos, and having an energy-rich theme with a legible font are all effective, I believe. And for my example for a good use of presentation aids comes from my informative speech on how to shoot a basketball. Melissa in her instructor critique cited that my background for my presentation was perfect because it was a basketball themed background. She also stated that my video worked well and also my imagery and acronym worked well to make my information more memorable. And unfortunately, my poor use of a presentation aid came in my persuasive speech when my video did not work. I was very disappointed that the video didn't work because it was such a big part of my presentation. I was looking forward to everybody being able to see that video because it carried a really good message. But ultimately, it just disrupted the flow of my speech and it wasted time. And that leads me to my next main idea here about audience analysis. I thought the biggest challenge in audience analysis was incorporating humor into my speeches and figuring out what would be funny to the audience, what wouldn't be funny to the audience, and analyzing my audience to see if this is actually something that they would laugh at or not. For example, in my toast speech, I thanked my audience for coming to the wedding of my best friend Jacob Shepard and Selena Gomez. Obviously, it was a hypothetical situation, so I earned a pretty good laugh out of the crowd, and they were engaged throughout my entire speech. However, on the other hand, in my receiving an award speech, I tried to imitate Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's infamous eyebrow raise, which ultimately earned a blank stare out of the crowd. So it was just very tough for me to judge what would be funny, what wouldn't be funny to the crowd, and that was my biggest challenge in audience analysis. And finally, I spoke ethically and responsibly in my persuasive speech by acknowledging all the different genders, all the different races, the LGBTQ group, the different religions, and the different ages of people. And that brings me to my next point about effective listening skills. So I picked a couple of ideas out of our textbook that I learned about listening this semester, and one of them was to stop all mental conversation in my mind while a speaker is presenting to allow me to give my full attention to that speaker. And also, another main idea here about effective listening that I got out of the textbook was to smile at the speaker and give them positive feedback as they're speaking to increase his or her confidence. And also, I became better at selecting, attending, and remembering the main points of each speech. For example, I critiqued Carson's speech on SeaWorld, and I ultimately paid really close attention to her main ideas of how poorly the orca whales are treated at SeaWorld, and the poor diet the whales suffer through, and also the severe lack of exercise that the whales get. I did not know any of this information. I did not know SeaWorld was like that towards their animals. So it ultimately persuaded me to not go to SeaWorld and not support them. And that leads me to my final main idea here about small group communication. I absolutely loved working with my elevator pitch group. We were all very collaborative together. We worked very well together. And me personally, the way I demonstrated being a collaborative group member was I took the initiative of exchanging contact information and setting up a time that works for everybody to meet. And I also was an interactive stand-in for one of my group members' pitches. So I didn't just stand there and nod my head. I was actually interactive with my group member while they were doing their pitch. And according to our textbook, managing problems and being a democratic style of leader will help my future small groups be successful, collaborative, and ultimately get along together. And I completely agree with that. And to bring everything together here, I really, really enjoyed this course. It challenged me in a way that I have never been challenged before, and I really appreciate that. And overall, I made some notable progress on my goals of becoming a better individual one-on-one speaker, a better small group speaker, and a better large group speaker. So I was very happy with that. And I would like to give a special thanks to Melissa Reisman for pushing each and every one of us to put in the maximum effort to become better public speakers and more developed public speakers as well. So a special thanks to her. And also thank you for listening. And I hope this speech gives you an idea of how much information I absorbed this semester and learned this semester and appreciated this semester as well in this course of public speaking. So thank you.